day, everyone, and welcome to Sisters Keeper podcast. I am Dr. C, your host, and this is a show where we talk about topics that are germane to women's lives. We talk about the challenges they face, we talk about the joys and triumphs, and we try to share topics that give advice to other women who just may be navigating through that same season. And today, we are going to talk about how to choose a career you love. And today, my special guest is Miss Andrea. Miss Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So, as I said, we're going to talk about how to choose a career that you love. So, with love being the operative word, tell us, what is your chosen career?
My chosen career is education, so working with children.
Okay, so working with children. Okay, awesome.
Mhm.
So I know when a lot of people think about what they want to be when they grow up, we start having these ideas when we're young.
Right.
Some people don't choose a career until they're older, until they're more settled in life. But many people choose career one by what their family members do, what they've seen being exampled before them all their lives. Other people choose a career about how much money they can make. So I want to know, what led you into your current career as an educator? What was your motivation?
Okay, well, I just had a love of children. I always love being around them. I seem to gravitate towards them and just wanted to do things with them.
Okay.
And also, I grew up with a mother who also was in the field of education and she worked in Head Start. So those were little children there. And even going further back than that, her mother also worked in the field of education in an elementary school.
Okay, so you had some familial experience with education. So when you mentioned your mother being in education, did you have opportunities where you were at her job site?
I did, yes, and even helping her prepare stuff, going to the room, those kind of things, decorating the classroom.
Mhm.
Yeah, and even with my grandmother, when I would go to Detroit in the summertime, she would
Okay.
be there in the summer school program, and I would
Mhm.
go with her sometimes. So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I can definitely hear the enjoyment and the love that you have for what you do, just with the little bit that you shared with me already. So, how many years have you had the fortune of serving as an educator?
Lot of years. Um, 40 years actually. 40
40
years.
years.
So from
Wow. Okay.
from the
Well, that's good. That's a blessing to be able to do something that you love and to
right.
be able to have done it for so long. So, with that many years under your belt, what has been your saving grace? And I ask this question because people sometimes, well, a lot of times don't get the opportunity to go into a field that they really love, for one. And if
Yeah.
they do, they may not be able to have longevity in that field. So, what
Mhm.
has allowed you to be steadfast and unmovable in your career?
Ultimately, it's just that because I love what I'm doing. I love working with children. I love seeing them learn. I love to see the excitement in them when they discover something.
Hmm.
And also aside from educating the child themselves, their parents.
Awesome. Okay, so you actually get joy out of what you're doing.
Definitely.
And that joy has allowed you to plant your feet and to grow roots that are deep where you don't even have a desire to leave.
Mm-mm. Not
Okay,
not
that's
even.
good. And that's why I want to talk about this,
Mhm.
because I know so many people are unhappy with where they are. You know, they complain when it's time to go to work. They can't
Mm-hmm.
wait to punch the clock to leave out. And sometimes even they take longer breaks than they're supposed to take because they just really don't enjoy what they're doing. So it's great to hear that you have actually enjoyed the experience. So, throughout your 40-year career, what can you say are some of the greatest joys and triumphs that you've had along the way?
Okay, so just working with the families themselves, because right now I am in Head Start. I started off with being in the private sector with
Mm-hmm.
the children in the schools,
Mm-hmm.
and so just having that love and knowing that regardless of how much money that I'm bringing in from it, I am, like you said earlier, planting a seed with these children that I'm with and helping them to value education, love what they're doing, because not everybody loves going to school, and if you can have
Right.
an
True.
educator or a teacher who makes it fun for you and makes you enjoy coming in and learning,
Mm-hmm.
all the better. All the better.
Okay, awesome. And throughout your 4 decades of experience, if you were to have an opportunity to go back in time,
Mhm.
is there anything that may have happened, may have occurred that would cause you to say, you know what, maybe I would choose something differently, even though I have heard that you've enjoyed it? The payoffs are definitely great and worth it for not only you, but also those who you serve. But if you had an opportunity to go back in time, do you think you would make a different choice?
I don't think I would make a different choice. I did at one point in time wish that I would have been educated or guided in a list of careers that you can do that are lucrative as far as money coming in, because when my life changed and I went through a divorce, you know I was concerned about how I was going to make ends meet, how I was going to do it. But of course, ultimately, I mean, I knew that, God was going to provide for me. I did have a church family and friends that, um, I know wouldn't, let me fall without helping me if I needed it. But ultimately, I mean, really, no, I would not have changed my field because I always wanted to work with children. I just love it.
Okay, well, that's good. You know, and like I said, some people do choose a career
Mm-hmm.
that is based on the dollar sign. You know, what is my paycheck
Mm-hmm.
going to look like? And
Right.
honestly, we cannot make it without funds. We can't make without
Right.
finances. But
Definitely.
when people look back over their life, they really have to weigh out, is it my everyday enjoyment? Is it my everyday well being? Doing something that I love where I can sleep at night, or just making the ends meet, you know, making
Mhm.
money and not be happy, because as we all know, money cannot buy happiness.
Right, definitely.
So, um, so it's good to hear you say that no, you wouldn't make a different decision overall. But I do understand what you said about the different opportunities, because in education, there are different opportunities where some may will allow you to have a more substantial income. And so those are things definitely to consider going into any field. And I would say that would probably be true in any field, like in medicine. Different levels, different positions in medicine will, one may be more lucrative than the other. Same thing with the criminal justice system. People who are lawyers, whether they have private practice or they work with a larger firm. So those are definitely some things people should consider when going into their field, if they're concerned about the money, and of course everybody is, but
Right.
there is a way to tie together how much you're making and doing something that you love at the same time. So definitely the
Yeah.
research should be done so that both needs can be met. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good point that you brought up. Now, what advice would you like to share with our viewing audience, especially those who have not tapped into their career choice just yet and have not settled upon a specific field? So, usually, people who are younger, who are at the stage in their life where they're thinking about what should I do? What advice can you give them to lead them along a path where they may not have many regrets years down the line?
Yeah. Um, I think the main thing, like I've said, like just from the beginning, is that they choose something that they love doing. Um, ultimately, like I was saying about being informed of what's out there as far as career choices and how much you can make in those fields. After having that list, maybe even looking at that list and saying, okay, what on here do I like? What really kind of fits in with me and what I wouldn't mind doing from here on out? And it's not to say that we can't change our course of a career,
Mhm.
because a lot of times as we become educated, other doors kind of open up and we see something else that maybe like, wow, maybe, maybe I might, like to do here, so depending on your education, there are other avenues that you can go with that same, degree that you earn. But if you have a love for it, then it won't feel like it's work. And that's the main thing is you don't I don't want to go to work, 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 work. But no, if you feel like this job is something that you love doing, it's not work. You're getting up to do something fun and getting some money for it. So,
Absolutely.
love what you're doing. Love what you're
Right,
doing and
right,
it won't seem like work.
right. Yeah, I definitely understand that because there are so many times when I have gone to work and I'm sitting there and the time goes so quickly. And when I leave, I said, wow, they paid me for that.
Right.
They
Right.
paid me to do that. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
have done that anyway. I would have done that free, but they paid me to
Right.
do that. And that's really a good feeling. And I know not a lot of people can say that because they actually feel like they're working. They feel like they're slaving. They feel like they're not even getting paid what they're worth to do whatever that job is. But when you can
Mm-hmm.
go and say that it doesn't feel like work and to know that you're making a difference in somebody else's life. When you have
Right.
that type of career that actually molds and shapes other people or helps them
Mm-hmm.
in a desperate situation or whatever it might be, but when you know that
Mm-hmm.
your job is life changing,
Right.
but one thing that I think about too when I think about this topic of choosing a career that you love, I think about doing what you're gifted in doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if
Definitely.
you're gifted in it, it pretty much comes easy. And it's not to
Right.
say that there won't be hard days and not to say that it won't be challenges getting there, but
Right.
oh God, it's just like melting butter. It's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
Mm-hmm.
watching paint dry, like you're so bored. But when God gives you a gift,
Right.
one thing you're probably going to notice it from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a love for it. However, that love comes about, like you said, your interest was sparked just from the children themselves, and also by being in that environment that sparked that curiosity, that love, and it began to grow that desire within you, and it stayed with you all these years.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that what people are called to do, what God's mandate is in the earth realm, is what they should do. I believe that they will have a natural ability, a natural inclination to do it. It's just something that they love and they can't live without it. How
Definitely.
would you feel if someone told you, let's say in this world of AI, artificial
Mm,
intelligence. So let's
mm,
say if someone told you there was no need for a human educator anymore because we'll just have a machine take care of that. How would you feel to be displaced from your job, either from a machine, AI, or anything else? How would you feel if you could no longer do what you love to do?
mm. That wouldn't be good because one, I mean, I would be thinking about the children. The children, they need a human body there, someone that cares for them, someone that's not going to be automated, somebody that's not going to be, they're AI doesn't have feelings. They don't know how you felt leaving, home that day and maybe not wanting to be at school and even having that teacher that gave you a smile or even a hug or say it's going to be all right or, made you feel good about being there that day, even though you may didn't want to start off the day being there,
Mm-hmm.
no, that would not be good at all.
Okay,
And
so but I
then,
heard you speak in terms of the children. It wouldn't be good for them, but how would you feel about it if you
oh,
could do what you love? You've been doing it for all these years,
mm,
and you wake up tomorrow and they say, we don't need you to do it anymore," and nobody else is
mm,
because we just don't need you to do that anymore. How would that make you
mm.
feel?
Well, I guess I wouldn't feel too good about it, but you know what? I would still find some way to be working with children because as it is now, aside from my field going to work every day, in my church, I work with children, so we have children's church. I would find some way. Go to the library and read to the children, do something,
Okay, so you're
yeah.
saying if they shut your job down, you would still find a way to interact, to do what you believe it is you have been called and gifted to do, and that you have a burning desire to do, that you're going to find a way.
Definitely. I mean, even as far as, like my neighbors, they know I'm in education. And even at one point in time, I did some tutoring. They're like, Andrea, I know you tutor, do you mind, tutoring my child? They're having a hard time in, whatever it was. And
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I don't mind.
That's
So
good.
you make the
And that's good.
time.
And so you find ways to be innovative. You find ways to use your gifting. You find ways to walk in your calling. Uh,
Right.
and it reminds me of the scripture, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. So
Mhm.
we may not always know the way to go. We may not know how to get to where we're trying to go. But if
Right.
we remember the words of the Lord, lean not to your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. God will show us the
Definitely.
way to get there. So
Definitely.
we may not always have someone to guide us. We may not have mentors. We may not know which questions to ask. But my recommendation to anyone who's viewing this episode of the podcast, if there is something that you love to do, even if you already have a career and you want to exit out of that career, you said, I've been there long enough. I'm just burning the midnight oil. I need to do something different. For those of you who have not settled in on a career yet, maybe you're in high school and you're going to be going forward in life and heading to college soon, you haven't had a major chosen. Take heed to the words that have been shared here. Take heed to the experiences that Miss Andrea has shared with us, and think about that and ask yourself the question, how can I choose the career that I love? What is it that I need to do before you set yourself up for disappointment? Because one, you make good money, but are you happy? Two,
Right.
you may be happy and not make any money. How do you have a happy medium so that you can have a successful and a well-balanced life? Well, Miss Andrea, I thank you so much for being with us. Are there any final words that you want to share with our viewing audience on this topic today?
Just that I feel that it's a very rewarding field, education, wherever you decide, whether it's with children, teenagers or adults, I would say, hey, go for it. Um, Money Hopefully money isn't the main reason that choose your field. But just love what you're doing, and also, like you said too, seek God in your choices, and he will direct your way, because whether you think you're going one way and that door closes, he'll open another one for you, and something that you would enjoy doing as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and
Yes.
your life choice. And I pray that something that you have said would touch somebody's heart, give them answer a question that maybe they were asking themselves somewhere along the way. And
Right.
thank you for your words of wisdom, and thank you for your advice. And thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Sisters Keeper.
Thank you. Thank you. You're so welcome.
You're welcome. Take care, and I'll be talking to you
All
soon.
right.
God bless you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode of Sisters Keeper. I am Dr. C, your host, and I thank you so much for joining me always for every episode. And I pray that today, as we talked about how to choose a career that you love, I pray that something was said again, whether you're just starting out on your career journey, whether you have already been working and you're thinking about shifting careers. Before you shift that career, or before you choose your very first career, just think about, am I going to love doing this? Am I going to impact somebody's life? Thank you so much again for joining me. And I pray that you would join me for the next episode of Sisters Keeper. I'm Dr. C. I'm your host, and I'm signing off. God bless you.